Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This one is going to be on Shawn Michaels' Hall of Fame. So this is the last Hall of Fame card this month. Shawn Michaels is. He has two gears like the rest of them. One gear will make all of your moves deal 100% more damage, and the second gear will give you +3 starting MP. He's a showboat. He is Hall of Fame era, and he is chaotic. Normal Hall of Fame link for more MP. He's another one of these submission trainers for strikers. At this point, you guys probably know these aren't trainers I feel like I will ever use, so there's that. Well, let's start out with a few things. His moves. There's one that jumps right out. There's DDT, 4MP, recycles itself. It's 100k. You might be thinking, Sheik Plate, it's not going to add that much damage. It's a small damage move. You might also be thinking, hey, that can recycle itself. And then there's the plate that adds 100% to yellow gem damage when you break the greens. I don't have that plate. You'll run out of green gems, but you should always be able to get it once, probably fairly often twice, almost never 3 times. So about a 200% gem buff to all the yellow gems, right? The finisher makes the whole board into yellow gems. It's only 200k base damage. So when you look at his moves, you can see the base damage on them. 200k is the best. So the gear that adds 100% move damage really doesn't make or break him. So I'm going to keep it equipped the whole time. The MP we can play around, and you can decide if how that'll work. Basically, it gives you an extra trainer in some cases not really. So you can kind of decide how you feel that's going to work, but the gear adding doubling the damage doesn't do necessarily a lot, in my opinion. So we're going to start out with triple purple. Spike Pile Driver, 6 MP purple, deal 120k damage, and choose 2 gems to make into 3-turn Juggernaut gems. They'll deal 1.1 million in change, basically 1.2 million damage to your opponent and you on every countdown, and increase your purple MP by 5 at the end of the turn. So we're going to do like 2.4 million a tick for 2 ticks. We're going to use a sub with that, choose 8 gems to make into yellow submission gems, and do 118k damage for 3 turns, remaining turn into protect gems of 61k. Then we're going to use the heal, 8 MP, heal 173k damage, and heal for 3.2 million. Entourage for this one, we're running with double purple because we're pretending like we don't have the MP gear, and this would be turn 1 in feud with the sub. If you do have both gear, you would likely substitute this for either another heal coach or trainer, or for like Zombie Brock, I guess, for more sub turns. We got Papa Maya V on to get a little more out of the sub. This doesn't show that it works. It's a visual glitch. It does work. He'll heal for 3.8 million with HBK. You'll see that. So let's get out there, take a look with this one. I guess I should show you the strap. I currently don't have a skill plate equipped. I don't have anything particularly amazing for any of his move sets. This is a full Fury 2 set with max 15. You might be thinking, Mherex, this is so much. You got the gears. You got the double Fury. I don't think it's too much, and you'll see what I mean. So we got that. I only have a 5% strap for him. Most Hall of Famers, if you're lucky, you have a 20% gem damage. Some of you out there, may have significantly better, but very few. So there's that. Skill plate you could run with this. It's probably not going to matter because it's a sub one. So I would probably run Escape Artist, to be honest. We're going against Hall of Fame Ted. So Hall of Fame Showboat versus Hall of Fame Showboat. Again, you could sub Zombie Brock for a little bit better sub. It's not going to be earth-shattering. Do keep in mind we have our move damage doubled from what it would be. Also, I believe Ted turns blue gems with his 1 MP move into loot boxes. So we kind of want to stay away from that if we want to keep our moves. And I would just look to get some extra damage out of this. Doesn't the protect gems aren't going to do a whole heck of a lot for us, so. And I am going to leave it on 2x speed because it takes a little bit. Okay, so here's the first tick. You can see damage goes out to both of us. Don't use this on this turn. Wait for the second turn. Hopefully he doesn't pin us, though. Okay. Damage goes out again. Okay, so you can see, watch the heal, how much we actually heal. It says we're going to heal for 3.1. There you can see 3.8. So the trainer does work. And the next swipe will give us purple. So you can see this is very control, but it's also not super fast, even at double speed. It's going to take a few cycles. Here comes our purple MP back. Okay. It's going to take a few cycles. And you could also theoretically use Rhonda's Jacket and add 100% to this little bit of yellow gems you're choosing here. So that's certainly something you could do as well. See, the damage is going out. He's now down to 3 million. Hit that this turn. And then, just because we can, since we got a purple match, go ahead and put 2 more of those out. And let's take this one. So you can see he did manage to fill his finisher. I'm going to go ahead and hit the heal button here. And then let's just sub-a-dub-dub for the win. So even with 2x speed, you can see that took a little bit. Fairly control, but it does take some turns in between the subs. So there are going to be times where your opponent refills their move. So not maybe your typical sub build, because it takes a little bit in between. So that's that build. Now we're going to see triple yellow. There's no way this would be ready turn 1 in feud without the gear. It would not be ready until turn 2. I would not advise running this build personally, as you're going to get hit in the face first turn, and you're certainly not going to win on your first turn. Now, a note specifically about the bleed versus the finisher damage, right? Base finisher damage 200k, base bleed damage 650k. That means the bleed is about 3.25 times stronger than the finisher. So if you had Demon Valor, he's going to add exactly 150% more, which is for what, 350k? So he would add 350k damage to that, whereas your bleed trainer at 66% is better value. So you're always better off using the bleed coaches on this guy than you are move damage coaches, especially since Demon Valor only works on the finisher. So you're never going to buff this finisher very big with the base damage. Really, this finisher is about making 48 random gems into yellow and trying to take advantage of the yellow. So even though this is a triple yellow build, you're going to get more legs out of running Fury and like Cena for the gem damage and that kind of thing than you would be move damage. So that's why you're seeing the gem damage, and all of his builds are going to be better with Fury. Again, keep in mind, unless you have the gear, both gears, this is not going to be ready turn 1 in feud. So Yeah, keep that in mind. I think you'll find it doesn't hit as hard as you might think. Um, Even with the gear adding 100% move damage. And even using Fury 2 and see Santa Hogan. So Santa Hogan would make it so he's ready without a yellow match um, on turn 2. Otherwise, you'd need a yellow match even to be ready turn 2. We're going to use Brawn for 25% more yellow, stacking all the yellow. Again, I've said this a few times. If you do not have Showboat Cena leveled, 16k, you really want to do that. He has got a great entourage. So Sweet Chin Music, 10 MP finisher, deal 200k damage, make 48 random gems into yellow gems. Flying Form Smash, 8 MP bleed, deal 174k damage, and then deal 650k bleed damage to your opponent for 2 turns. Oh, by the way, that bleed damage, that's 3.25 times bigger, happens twice. So really, it's like 6.5 times bigger. Than the finisher damage. So you get way better legs focusing on the bleed than anything else. We're going to see that this is just a gem damage build for that. And then the Teardrop Suplex, I believe this one's 8 MP as well. Yeah. Deal 180k damage and decrease the damage of all your opponent's gems by 75% for 2 total turns. This includes both your turn and your opponent's turn. I don't know why it's worded this way. 75% for 1 turn. Not that good, actually. That's just in there to show you the triple yellow, which I am actually not a fan of at all of this build. There's no way I would run this one, personally, even with both gears. Does recycle itself. Again, keep in mind, we're going to start turn 1. Actually, no, we're not, because you wouldn't infeud without both gears. So, we're not going to. Okay. So you can see we're going to pop for 353. Reduce that gem damage. Now we're going to bleed for 650 for 2 turns. And now we're going to hit a 390k finisher, but we're going to make the board yellow, and we've buffed our yellow gems quite a bit. It should hit for about 2.5 million on the gem damage. 2.8, 3 million total with the move damage. Okay, he kicks out no problem. That was a 5 million chunk of his damage-ish right there. Again, keeping in mind that would start on turn 2. And this one might end up doing it. $3.2 million. Kicks out again, as they will at 6-star. So really, you're probably looking at 3 cycle wins with this, and starting on in feud, and then starting on turn 2, unless you have both gears. So 3 turns of going, 4 turns total. So yeah, I can't recommend this build. You can see we mostly drain him all the way, but even not all the way. Okay. Moving on to... Actually, you know what? Let's say you have that Triple H plate where you break a green, buff your gem damage. I cannot show you 100% gem damage for each one. However, we can sort of figure out how much it'll be, right? What do you mean, Mherex? Well, what I mean is he has, let's go to his stats. So, pretty easily, actually. When you look at, our yellow gems are up to 28k. With the strap, that's adding 120% yellow gem damage. And so, They're up to 28K from the base, which I want to say is like, what was it, like 15K? Yeah, 15K. So that's an additional 13, which seems weird. That math isn't adding up. Really, 120K, we should be over 30. Maybe it'll look different in the match, like when we go to the screen. Yeah, there it is, 51K. That's much better. Okay, I'm gonna say that makes more sense. So that puts us up to 51K. Figure about 100% is gonna add, maybe like 35-ish. 35K each one to each yellow gem damage. So you figure twice, add an additional 70K. So now you're doing 121K times 49, 120,000. It should be about 5.8 million on the gem damage. So you're gonna hit for about 6 million if you get it twice. If you get it twice, and that won't keep somebody down the first time. So you would have to run this, and then you can't use the bleed either. So you'd have to use this. So you do it this way, and then you could hit for about 6 million, providing this works twice. So let's see how many times we could get this to work. 4 MP. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave the yellow trainers on, because you would leave Cena, you'd switch steel out, but because it's a tour, it'll be ready. But let's just kind of pretend and see how many times we'd get this to hit. If you had that plate. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it would happen twice on this one. But not 3 times, barring a miracle here. Yeah, so it would only happen twice. No reason not to do this again for 100K if you were doing it, though. And then, you'd use this move to choose. You don't really care, so let's just hit it. Okay, yes, sure. And then after that, you're not getting back to the green unless you cascade. So you're going to hit for like 6 million on that one. We did cascade. And it looks like we would be able to get it once this time. It's because we did cascade, just for example. Okay. So you're probably looking at 2 cycles, because I believe the buff on that lasts for 2 turns on that plate. So you'd probably keep them down with this hit. So that's probably 2 cycles with that. But do keep in mind, you would need at least 8 greens on the board on turn 1 to do that. And that's no gimme. I suppose once in a blue moon you could end up with 12, but that would rarely happen. So that would probably actually be his best build, except for when there's only one, then you're probably a sad panda, you know? Okay. Will that keep him down? Probably not. Just did. Okay, excellent. So that was kind of a bonus one there that I threw in just to give you guys kind of an example of if you had that plate. And then the last set, which is probably the most consistent one, and this is where the bleed trainers pay way more dividends than like the move damage trainers. And yes, I know I have Woods on there, and I know he's super rare. You also would need Santa Hogan to make this work. Turn 1 at 17K or the gears. But again, unless you had those things, I don't think you would probably use him a lot. So you can see the bleed. Let's get the right trainers in. So what do we see? Moonsault 7 MP, deal 127K damage, choose 7 gems to make into yellow. That's the move we haven't seen yet. We're obviously going to go with steel to get that loaded right away, and then the bleed trainers. If you don't have Woods, obviously Kyrie is the way to go. So green, Lead 66% on Seth. Much more damage in total than Priest would be, because we're getting 350k twice. So it's more than double the damage that Priest would be. No, not Priest, I'm sorry. Demon Valor would be on the finisher. It's actually more than double the damage. So the Woods would add another, what is that? Basically 350k, whereas Kyrie should be like 175-ish. Okay, just for example. We're going to go with Woods, and then obviously Santa needs to stay on to be turn 1 in feud, unless you have the gear. Second gear. Alright. So, this is likely the build that most people will be able to run, given how many people have the other plate. And keep in mind, this is with 17k Santa or both gears, and it does have the move damage gear on. This would not be ready turn 1 in feud without using this, so we're not going to hit it first. And you actually would need more than 2-3 matches to fill the finisher. Just FYI, you'd need a 5 and a 3. So there's a chance you cascade too. Alright, so cycle 1. We're gonna pop for 2 million and then the 2 bleeds. So that's a 5 million-ish cycle, almost 6 million cycle. So that's turn 1. Here we go with turn 2. And keep in mind, this is against a showboat. It's gonna kick out here. So most of the time it's probably going to be 3 cycles, because the pin isn't huge at 2 million, and that bleed needs to tick twice, and the first tick only brings them down so far, yeah? So most of the time it's probably 3 cycles, sometimes 2. So he's a 2 or 3 cycle win, which is certainly not bad at all. And this is also, again, with his gear and the MP. I'd say this is his best moveset personally. I feel like I very rarely will have 8 green gems if I use the other build and if I had the plate. So I think for most people this is his best build. You're probably going to win 2 to 3 cycles most of the time. So where does he fit in on showboats on my roster? Let's go by class. Also keep in mind, I'm not the biggest Hall of Fame fan. I think you all know that at this point. So do keep my bias in mind as we're looking at this. So the best thing for him is there's not a ton of high damage showboats. I have a few at 6-star already. I would take Zombie Lashley, assuming tokens were the same, ahead of him, but the tokens aren't the same. So really the comparison is going to be what other Hall of Famers you have. And I think he's pretty good compared to the other Hall of Famers. I think Macho is clearly better. Depending on your playstyle preferences, though, and what you're after, and the fact that he's a showboat, I would probably take him up second after Macho if I had him. I like the fact that he does the bleed. He's kind of like a beefier Bulldog, sort of. Bulldog gets a similar kind of deal where he can load the bleed. You can see here it's 3 turns, but he's kind of like a beefier Bulldog. I think if you run Bulldog's bleed would be a fair comparison. So, but showboat wise, I mean, you could maybe make a case that Zombie Lashley, you know, he's a 2-turn win, hitting about as hard, lower charge to start, uses red. If you have Lashley's bells and whistles, you know, 4, 5, 6 million is pretty doable. A cycle with him. So they're probably similar-ish damage output. Some people really like Ford with his purple gem damage, so again, probably really similar too. I would say he's as good as anyone except for like Nakamura. Gable's completely different, so it's like comparing apples to oranges. I think he easily ends up in the top 5 showboats. Showboats right now aren't especially amazing. He's definitely not Nakamura, but after Nakamura, he's probably a showboat you want to have on your roster, and level him up, right? But I would not level him ahead of, say, Hall of Fame Macho, for example, since they use the same tokens. But after that, I think he probably makes a lot of sense. So, not the best Hall of Fame card this month, but close. He's going to be pretty hard to get, though. Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hopefully you found this video useful. And thanks for watching, guys, and good luck out there.